This module, the online training for the ODOT Analysis and Traffic Simulation, or OATS, manual provides guidelines on the requirements for analysis documentation. The documentation will be a brief summary to report the overall model process, calibration steps, and calibration results. There were two forms that were developed as part of the OATS manual to help document the analyst's assumptions and aid the reviewer when checking the model inputs and outputs. This module provides an overview of these forms and details their importance in the analysis process. In order to streamline review and to allow for replication of the analysis, the calibration and validation process and resulting changes to the base model should be documented. The documentation should provide justification for any changes of the values of the default parameters and supportive statistics, which compares field measured and calibration measures of effectiveness. The model development documentation form must be completed for all complex type projects. Also, any standard type project where recommended ODOT default values described in the OATS manual were changed will require the completion of the form. For standard type projects that did not change any recommended ODOT default values, the documentation form is not required. However, a statement should be included with the traffic analysis discussion that no default values were changed. The completed documentation form should be submitted with the traffic analysis submission. The project-specific data portion of the form contains information regarding project-specific collected data. This data will have been collected either from other data sources or through field measurement and are critical to the analysis models. The analyst should detail the model assumptions and coding techniques for complex or unconventional geometrics or operations for the based model in this section of the model development documentation. An example for which this case may apply includes de facto turning lanes. If the field observations and traffic counts indicated that every vehicle turns right from a shared through and right turn lane, the lane connector bias may be tweaked in Transmodeler, or the lane may be coded as an exclusive right turn lane. The base model calibration and validation section of the model development documentation form contains calibration and validation process, calibration targets, and documentation supporting evidence of changing default parameters. Calibration and validation are limited to complex type projects only. One page of the model development documentation includes parameters for Transmodeler, and another includes parameters for HCS parameters. The error checking section of the form includes information on the errors that could not be resolved. These errors should be documented, and explanation as to why the error cannot be rectified should be included on this form. Under the calibration section of the model development documentation form, the factors the model is being calibrated to should be selected. Tables should be attached to this form showing the calibration results. If the calibration targets outlined in the OATS manual are not met, details should be provided on this form. As previously mentioned, calibration is only for complex type projects. Similar to the base model development, assumptions and coding techniques for complex or unconventional geometrics for the alternative models should be detailed on this form. The reviewer checklist is used to help ensure quality control on all ODOT analysis. The purpose of quality control reviews is to verify that the parameters and assumptions match the study requirements, analysis are performed appropriately, models are properly calibrated, and the results are reasonable. Additionally, this checklist will help ensure that all required files are submitted as part of the review. The reviewer checklist should be filled out by the consultant team prior to the submittal to ODOT. By completing this form, the consultant team is ensuring that the model has been reviewed. In summary, there are two forms that help document the modeling and analysis process when completing ODOT analysis. The model development documentation details the model parameters that deviate from default values and the calibration and validation process. The reviewer checklist ensures quality control on ODOT analysis. Both of these forms are found on the ODOT website with more details provided in Chapter 9 of the OATS manual.